gentlemen. Good night. Welcome to nightly news recap. I don't think we'll be able to cover everything that we have that's going on, if I'm being quite honest. There is a lot. There is a lot. There is a lot. I'm talking about, wow. So much happened today. Hope everybody is doing well. All right. Should I carry this up some more? I think I should. Yeah, I think I should carry it up some more. Yeah, one more. All right. Let's fit this in. All right. Welcome to the nightly news recap. Wow. Wow. Karen, good night. Alright, so we're live on both Bolo V&R 2.0 and also Bolo V&R clips. Juanita, good night. How are you? Blessings. Just give me a second. Jamaica is in such of a dilapidated state. It's almost embarrassing. Definitely sickening, that's a fact, but wow. Truly tired of these people, man. Truly tired of these people. Government is just I know I'm early, which is a good thing because sometimes I'm late. Supposed to be 7:59, but why not be early? Hey, one time would have the fun for me, Try that now, no? Where fun I go? Where fun I go? Empress Dave, what's up? How are you doing? Good night. Good to see you. Alright, there we go. Amazing.
Out of all of the AI videos them me a create.
And this is you to create the AI video. Boy, brother, be careful here, man, because the new cybercrimes act something there. No. Alright, so we're live on TikTok, we're live on YouTube. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Alright, so today I was watching Talking on TV. I don't know why I thought it was Mystic Sensation. Normally, because Mystic Sensation is the one that usually does, the parliament. So I don't know why I thought it was him. The head of the Teachers Association is is saying that schools continue to be affected by Hurricane Melissa. Let us listen to this, ladies and gentlemen.
The Jamaica Teachers Association is slated to visit the Petersfield High School in Westmoreland on Thursday as concerns mount about the institution's readiness for the new school term. Dozens of displaced residents remain on the school compound even as administrators move to implement adjustments for teaching and learning. As Kevin Black now reports, dozens of other schools reopened with temporary arrangements.
Underway, hundreds of schools across the island are still grappling with the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Government figures indicate that more than 600 schools were damaged by the storm. And according to President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Mark Malava, administrators are forced to adopt temporary measures just to keep teaching and learning.
It's connected. Why is it not?
The students. So Petersfield is certainly a major challenge. Of course, you know that the individuals from the community who had suffered immense damage are still being housed there. I'm told that there are some families and adults that are still being housed at Petersfield.
Malava explains that some schools are, however, unable to fully reopen due to the extent of the damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. He adds that Petersfield High School in Westmoreland, which is currently housing residents displaced by the storm, has prompted the Jamaica...
Yes, Deb, we know say you guys in the States have different challenges, you know. I've never been to any cold weather place in the world, so this cold frontier kind of different. Of course, we've had cold fronts before, but this one, they say that the world is heating up, but I don't know. Maybe it's getting cold. But yeah, let's listen to this.
The Teachers Association is slated to visit the Petersfield High School in Westmoreland on Thursday as concerns mount about the institution's readiness for the new school term. Dozens of displaced residents remain on the school compound even as administrators move to implement adjustments for teaching and learning. As Kevin Black now reports, dozens of other schools reopened with temporary arrangements.
Underway, hundreds of schools across the island are still grappling with the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Government figures indicate that more than 600 schools were damaged by the storm. And according to President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, Mark Malava, administrators are forced to adopt temporary measures just to keep teaching and learning going.
Some schools, for example, a few schools have adopted the shift system. There are some schools who are using a staggered approach with respect to accommodating the students. So Petersfield is certainly a major challenge. Of course, you know that the individuals from the community who had suffered immense damage are still being housed there. I'm told that there are some families are there about that are still being housed at Petersfield.
Malava explains that some schools are, however, unable to fully reopen due to the extent of the damage caused by Hurricane Melissa. He adds that Petersfield High School in Westmoreland, which is currently housing residents displaced by the storm, has prompted the JTA to conduct on-site assessments.
Many of the schools really be unable to have full resumption. Given the extensive damage that they suffered. I think for the JTA will be visiting the institution on Thursday. We intend to speak with the teachers. My understanding is that the teachers are being housed at a different location and that they will come on to the school compound on Monday. That's what was reported to me. I really want to go and see first on what is happening, and we want to speak with our teachers to ascertain their comfort level.
Meanwhile, principals have told the CVM News that despite the reopening of schools, many students have not yet returned to classes. Malava says a targeted approach will be needed to address the issue and ensure students are reintegrated into the education system.
We have to seek to make contact with them to see what are their challenges and how can we respond to those challenges and their needs in order for them to come back into the institution. I really hope that the ministry will help to coordinate this process as we seek to bring the students back into the formal education system.
Kevin Black reporting for CVM News.
The Jamaica Teachers Association.
So, who watched the Senate the other day? Who watched the Senate the other day? Who remembers when Dora the Explorer came out and I was praising the government that after 3 months this happened, whoop-de-whoop-de-woo, and I was playing politics. Do you guys see the reality versus the hype? Every single time they come out and try to push this, oh, we're doing a great job, the reality is exposed. You guys realize that? Man, listen, you can't make this up. This is wild. Moving on.
Despite assurances from the board of the University Hospital of the West Indies that the slew of procurement problems highlighted in the Auditor General's report will be rectified, the opposition continues to raise concern. In a 10-minute video posted online, Man on Health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, outlines what he insists is widespread mismanagement and corruption at the hospital. As Carla Ramdeen reports, Dr. Dawes is calling for systematic reform. Dr. Alfred Dawes says the Auditor General's report confirms what doctors and staff have known for some time. Failing infrastructure and ignored complaints are putting staff and patients at risk. The opposition spokesman on health says it's not just that the hospital needs more resources, but resources allocated are not being properly used. He points to the Auditor General's findings that the hospital cannot produce procurement documents for 51 contracts worth more than 521 million, which makes it impossible to verify how public funds are being spent.
The same report exposed the misuse of the hospital's tax-exempt status to import goods for private entities, depriving the state of millions of dollars in revenue. So while doctors are begging for basic supplies, functioning beds, defibrillators to save lives, and safe spaces to rest, hundreds of millions of dollars are flowing through a system that cannot even produce the paperwork to show what was bought, from whom, and why.
Dr. Dawes is also blasting the hospital's management for buying expensive equipment without plans for maintenance, while ignoring urgent requests from staff.
When a hospital designed for 579 beds is admitting 120 to 150 emergency patients per day, what does that look like? It looks like patients lying on trolleys in hallways, family members standing for hours because there are no chairs, nurses trying to monitor multiple critically ill patients simultaneously because the wards are overflowing, and doctors making impossible decisions about who gets the limited ICU beds available and who they must let die.
The shadow minister warns that the crisis at the university hospital is not just a Jamaican problem. The hospital trains hundreds of doctors and specialists who serve across the Caribbean. He reasons mismanagement now threatens regional health care, medical training, and the country's international reputation.
When UHWI struggles, when it loses credibility to procurement scandals and governance failures, it doesn't just affect Jamaica. It affects the reputation of UA. It affects the ability of Caribbean medical graduates to secure residency positions internationally. It affects the willingness of international partners to collaborate on research. It affects everything.
Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
I tell you, man, big up to Mr. Dr. Alfred. I mean, it was such a comprehensive and truthful, address of the situation, that there's nothing really to add. It's just to remind you guys of the reality that we're facing. You understand? And they want to have it like, oh, that reality has shifted, but no. Guys, expect more coldness, them say. All right? Yeah. To the parliament.
Concerns about governance and accountability at the Parliament were under scrutiny today as the Clerk of the House of Representatives appeared before Parliament's Public Accounts Committee. Details in this report.
The leadership of the Houses of Parliament has been facing the heat over findings of an Auditor General report which was released last year. The report flagged multiple areas of concern to include breaches of procurement guidelines, the use of official vehicles, and issues surrounding a government-issued credit card. But it was the matter involving a purchase that violated procurement rules, which was the most contentious. In March 2025, the Parliament committed to the purchase of 16 air conditioning units valued at $3.2 million, but the procurement rules were flouted.
What you're saying is splintering the transaction.
It appears to be.
Sorry, guys.
The intent of the policy.
A review revealed the valued at the violated procurement rules, which was the most contentious. In March 2025, the Parliament committed to the purchase of 16 air conditioning units valued at $3.2 million, but the procurement rules were flouted.
What you're saying is splintering the transaction.
It appears to be that based on the invoices that are stated
Is
here.
splintering the transaction to get around the intent of the policy.
A review revealed the absence of
Wendy Penna, good night. How you doing? Blessings to you. Blessings to you.
contract agreement, weaknesses in procurement planning and budgeting, use of incorrect procurement methodology, and non-inclusion of critical terms to protect the government's interest.
Whilst I had knowledge for the purchase of, I think, 3 units, because in 3 consecutive days, units went down, including my own office. And I'm aware of that. As for the other purchases, they were made, some of them, while I was on official business. I was not physically here in the jurisdiction, and therefore did not grant any approval, and neither did I see any evidence that the deputy clerk, who would have supervisor functions in my absence, made such approval either.
Your absence, it's a red flag for me, because your absence shouldn't be an issue, because somebody deputizes for you. There's a process that somebody should follow, that should be signed off before somebody can commit funds on behalf of the parliament. So the challenge is ensuring that the process is in place, that somebody doesn't go out on a frolic of his own.
Members of the Public Accounts Committee questioned whether adequate management and oversight systems were in place to prevent such breaches and pressed the clerk on internal controls.
Systems are in place, and I really don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but when you enforce and when hold people accountable, there's a narrative that you are being vindictive when you hold officers accountable. There's a narrative that officers believe that they're being harassed when there are certain demands for compliance with the systems that exist.
Meanwhile, the clerk stressed.
Now, let me tell you something. You see that girl there? Foolishness she attack. She shouldn't go down the rabbit hole, because it's exactly that, a rabbit hole full of ish. If you have systems in place that is there to hold people accountable, and it's your job to make sure that it is held. If it's not held, it's your responsibility, and it falls upon your shoulder. As a supervisor, let me tell you, I was a supervisor in many different establishments. A supervisor is damn near a manager. It's a managerial role. When the manager leaves, a supervisor is educated on what exactly needs to be done in the manager's absence. A supervisor understands how things work. So there's no way on God's green earth that because she's absent, those rules don't apply anymore and people don't know that they're supposed to follow them. Furthermore, if she realizes that somebody is not following the rules, then how does it become harassment? How do they use that? How did the person harass you? There's a way how to do things. So this person, they did not follow this. There has to be some structure in the thing. If you say, if you don't follow this, this is going to happen. You're going to be charged. You're going to lose your job. You're going to be suspended. There's so many things you can do to ensure that compliance of the rules is the norm. So you can't come to me and tell me that, oh, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but when you tell people what the right thing to do, they want to say that you are harassing them. Lady, you think we're idiot? These people take us fair. It's like every time they go parliament and they're supposed to be held accountable, or them going at the media like Christopher Tufton, they want to take up on a joyride of foolishness. Man, go sit down somewhere, man. Right? A Bobsy that me just say all ago. Bobsy, what are you doing? Is that Bobsy? No, that's not Bobsy. Good night, everybody. How are you doing? Like and share up the live. Please. Thank you.
That corrective measures have been implemented and that additional training is also being offered to members of staff about the government's procurement guidelines. Anthony Luke, TVJ News.
So at the end of the day, why are they working in the place them don't know the guidelines? I don't understand. Why do you not have qualified people working in government? I don't think it's that hard, I really don't think it's that hard. When you're going to do this, you first must do this and this and this. Then you do this. If you do that every day for 1 month, you have it locked. You have it locked. So what's happening? What is going on? I don't know, but we're gonna move on. I don't understand it, but we're gonna move on. This is absolutely ridiculous. No, ladies and gentlemen, this article, I didn't even read it. It says, Finance Ministry officials take stand in Royal Reed and co-accused trial. So let's hear the stance of them take, ladies and gentlemen, because, like I said, I didn't even really read this yet. Alright, so let us hear what they're saying.
X. Reed, before the court on a number of charges. News. Dana Malcolm Observer online reporter malcombed at Jamaica whether contractors doing business with government bodies would necessarily understand the financial framework governing the use of public funds was one of the issues raised in court on Monday, when a senior Ministry of Finance official testified in the trial of former Education Minister Will Reed, former Caribbean Maritime University, CMU, President Fritz Pinnock, and their co-accused. The question was raised by defense attorney Oswald Senior Smith as he cross-examined Barrington Thomas, the principal director of the Accounting and Financial Policy Branch in the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. International news, latest news. Macron says work underway to resume contact with Putin. Senior Smith represents Councillor Kim Brown-Lawrence, Jamaica Labour Party, Brownstown Division, who, along with Pinnock, Reed's wife Sharon Reed, and their daughter Sharelle Reed, are accused of participating in a scheme in which more than $25 million was taken from the Ministry of Education and the CMU through transfers to various accounts either owned or controlled by the accused or handed over in cash. The prosecution alleges that the recipients either knew or they reasonably should have known the money was criminal property, resulting in charges of acquisition of criminal property, among The prosecution alleges that the recipients either knew or they reasonably should have known the money was criminal property, resulting in charges of acquisition of criminal property, among others listed in the 35-count indictment. Thomas, who said he had been in the employ of the Ministry of Finance since 2009 in the then Financial Systems Unit, had previously given testimony on how the ministry sensitizes ministries, departments, agencies, and some public bodies on the procedures governing how they can access and use public money. He also detailed how the ministry directs certain government bodies and trains their staff to follow laws governing the spending of public monies, particularly the Financial Administration and Audit, FAA, Act. International news, latest news. Enir Smith queried whether the witness necessarily expected someone outside of government to be au fait with the provisions of the FAA Act, to which he responded. The general thought is that a person outside of the public sector, meaning somebody outside of working in a ministry, department, agency, or public body, would not necessarily be au fait with the provisions of the FAA Act and its instructions. In acknowledging that there is a wide spectrum of people and entities which contract with the government, Thomas said people or companies outside the ministry providing goods or services may not be fully aware of the inner workings of the legislation that governs funding of government entities. When questioned by Senior Smith on whether ministries could access funding from any department or agency that fall under them, the witness detailed that in every financial year the Appropriations Act or the budget is approved in Parliament, and it is the budget which indicates the sources of funding for a ministry. Ministries may be approved to receive funds from the Consolidated Fund or from any other designated and approved sources, which is determined to be appropriations in aid. These sources must have been approved and included in the Appropriations Act for that financial year, he said. By Bolo. Promoted links you may like. Adam Lambert, 43, takes off.
Sure.
The witness, when asked, indicated that he disagreed with the attorney that sources of funding could be added retroactively. Thomas had previously indicated that certain entities have different financial guidelines, but are all guided by the FAA Act along with their establishing legislation. He testified that for payments to be made by government agencies, there must be sufficient funds as well as legal authority or agreement for doing so. That legal authority would include valid contracts or purchase orders, which serve as binding agreements and outline the terms and conditions under which payments ought to be made. Previously, in outlining their case against the accused, prosecutors alleged that there were fraudulent payments made for work that was never done or services, which were never provided to either the Education Ministry or CMU, and that money from these payments was transferred from CMU and the Education Ministry to the accused. The 5 accused have maintained their innocence on all counts.
Wow.
Missing from court on Monday were several defense attorneys. Their absence highlighted ongoing challenges with scheduling which have slowed the pace of the trial. While the attorneys representing Reed were represented by their junior, who gave reasons for their absence, sitting Judge Justice Sankia Burrell took issue with the absence of Pinnock's attorney, Hugh Wildman, who she said had not communicated to the court. I am placing it on the record that this behavior by Mr. Whittleman is frowned upon, she said. The trial continues on Friday, February 6th, when cross-examination of the witness is expected to continue. Pinnock,
So it sounds to me, ladies and gentlemen, as if both sides are just pointing fingers at the other when it comes to this case. So they want to blame the finance ministry, and the finance ministry is saying, no, that's not how it works. Let's see how that goes. But it's good that we have them on record, so we can go back to it. You get me? I say it's very good that we have them on record. Now let me go to this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you, say, Talking Man TV have a whole place turn up today. Talking Man TV have a whole place turn up today. You see that? Yes, this I want to write so. No look a joke.
Right behind we have the new principal finance officer, Mr. Machine Robin. What's
I do remember or respond.
When do you run your report?
But to add further, security for belief.
Okay, just wanted
Sure.
administratively together.
Yeah. Madam Auditor General.
Talk to us. she more here from.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
The special audit of the Houses of Parliament was undertaken in response to matters brought to my attention by a whistleblower regarding the administration and management of certain operational activities. In accordance with our standard operation procedures, a preliminary review of the reported allegations was undertaken. This review determined that sufficient grounds existed to commission a special audit, of which the primary objective was to assess whether the procurement and contract management practices, government fleet vehicle management, and the use of an official credit card was conducted in keeping with applicable laws, regulations, and guidelines. The audit was designed to evaluate compliance and to identify any deviations from established standards in these areas. The report highlights breaches of established rules and controls, weaknesses in relation to procurement planning and execution, fleet management, and credit card administration. However, I wish to point out, Mr. Chairman, that one allegation regarding the use of the government-issued credit card for personal purpose was not established by us. We saw no evidence to support that allegation. At the same time, the report that you should have with you reflects management responses and action taken by management before the completion of our report. Since then, I have received, in fact, yesterday, I received a response from the Houses of Parliament, which was sent Friday evening. The prompt, which I would have shared with the secretary to the committee, is presented in a different format because the prompt covers the executive summary, the key findings only. The response provided by the clerk is more detailed and went through the full report. I have not had an opportunity to validate anything contained in this prompt that is in addition to the information that was already supplied. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Members, just so I can bring everybody up to speed, once a ministry, agency, or department is subject to an audit, we provide that entity with generally 4 weeks to formally respond to the audit findings. This is in addition to the opportunity that they would have during the course of the audit to provide information to the Auditor General. And once it is tabled and it's final, the entity has 4 weeks to respond.
CW, how you doing? CW. Me say me have to lock every window. You hear what I said? Every window have to lock.
Which is why if you look at the status report, you will see the status of other entities that have been subject to audits and the time frame given to them to respond. Once that report comes in, the Auditor General generally does a validation of those responses. Given the late time frame between the submission of the report, what the Auditor General indicated is that she didn't have the time to validate the response. So I just want to be clear.
So basically Colleen Lowe gave some documentation to the Auditor General. So after she looks at it, she's gonna verify what she's saying, if it's accurate or not. Then we will get the full scope of the situation in regards to that Auditor General report. Alright? That's what I understand from that. And that is very important. I never knew that they get 4 weeks to respond to the Auditor General's report. Interesting.
Member C, right, I see your mic. I don't know if you have it on deliberately or not. Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, I'll invite you to provide your response to the findings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today I am here before the committee in my capacity as accounting officer for the House.
I think you have to speak a little closer. Pull the mic a little closer to you.
Are you hearing me better?
Yes, that's better.
I was just about to say, why is she so low?
So, good morning again, everyone. Today I'm here before the committee in my capacity as the accounting officer for the Houses of Parliament, and I wish to affirm my respect for the committee's oversight role and my commitment to accountability and the proper stewardship of public resources. The matters before the committee today arose from a special audit conducted by the Auditor General. My office has reviewed the findings, accepted those that are founded, and have implemented corrective measures where weaknesses were identified. I wish to state clearly at the outset that based on the findings, there was no actual financial loss to the government arising from the deficiencies identified, noting that certain matters remain under statutory review in accordance with the Financial Administration and Audit Act. The auditors did not find any private or personal use of the government-funded credit card, and all funds identified were fully accounted for. In relation to fleet vehicle management, I did not authorize any personal use of government vehicles, nor did I authorize or condone the falsification of entries in the logbooks. Where control weaknesses came to light, those arrangements were stopped immediately and stronger oversight mechanisms were put in place. As part of strengthening governance and ensuring compliance with the FAA Act, the Houses of Parliament approached the Ministry of Finance and Public Service and formally requested the implementation of an internal audit committee. This represents the first time such a committee was being established in the history of the Parliament and is a significant step in institutionalizing oversight and accountability. Several of the issues raised in the report reflected historical control gaps and periods of administrative transition. Once these matters were brought to my attention, directives were issued, controls strengthened, and governance arrangements formalized to prevent recurrence. I'm here today to assist the committee fully to clarify the factual and governance context and to answer questions on the systems that are now in place to protect the public interest and the integrity of the Parliament. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll start off by looking at key finding number 1. And for members, I'm reading from the prompt, but you can ask questions either from the prompt or from the full report. The issue of the unauthorized use of the motor vehicle. On the 3rd page, and I just bring your attention to a bullet point. HOP's response dated September 2025 cited August 15, 2025 memo claiming Clark's permission, even though no evidence not provided. Can you elaborate on that? Because the Auditor General is saying there was a response from, so I'm just for everybody so you can follow. I'm reading from this prompt, and I'm on. This would be 1, 2. I'm on this page. It's not numbered, but I think it's page 3. Key finding number 2, bullet point number 3. And I just want to ensure just clarity on, you have this or you don't have this? Could we provide a copy to the for September 2025 site, and just seeking clarity on that.
Regarding the overnight retention.
Yeah.
Okay, so by way of...
Just again, put the mic a little closer to you.
Okay, so by way of background information, just to state that the officer in question was completing part-time studies at the University of the West Indies. And he, based on his time schedule at the time, he would often return to the
You're too nervous, man. You can't teeth, but you can't dodge. You can't teeth, but you can't dodge, my girl. You're too nervous to have to take out all the mic. You must have a DJ.
Left work late one evening. He was deprived of his personal effects in the downtown area. And it was known to us that he would often stay here until late in the night. And therefore permission was granted to him that he could have access to the vehicle to ensure his safety in those extenuating circumstances. But certainly no permission was ever granted for there to be any unauthorized usage of the vehicle for personal purposes, nor for incorrect interest to be entered in the logbooks.
Okay, so you would have, my understanding is he was held up and robbed, and as a result, permission would have been granted for him to, is it to keep the vehicle overnight?
In cases where he was working beyond social hours. The facilities manager, I know, has stated this.
All right, member often parked off-site overnight. So how far would the permission have gone in terms of granting him to keep the vehicle?
For the nights when he was here until very late, he would have permission to drive the vehicle home in those circumstances for purposes of safety, but certainly not to use the vehicle for any personal or private use. And I should also state that during the days, he would have also used the vehicle for official government purposes. So, because sometimes we only have 2 drivers employed to the Parliament currently, we have 1. So, on occasions, he would also assist us in carrying out their activities.
Madam Auditor General, just seeking your guidance here. In a scenario where there are extenuating circumstances and permission was granted by the clerk for overnight use of the vehicle, what would satisfy the Auditor General? Because it was raised as a key finding and a breach. Was it the absence of written instructions, or what would satisfy you that permission was granted in a scenario like this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as the clerk shared her position, I was actually consulted with the AP for that area because...
What does AP mean?
I'm sorry, the audit principal, with responsibility for the audit, because what she shared just now, that she granted permission for the vehicle to be used in some circumstances, that's actually new to me. So it is not something that I would have given contemplation to. My understanding up to this point is that there was no evidence that permission was granted for the use of the vehicle. I am now consulted with my AP on that. In any event, I believe the circular does say that permission has to be granted by the head of entity. This matter is here as an issue because there was no such evidence that any permission was granted, and my understanding is that the clerk had also denied giving any such permission. I'm hearing something else now, Mr. Chairman, that I really do not want to provide any opinion on that until I have better particulars of really what existed.
Okay, so can I...
What a piece of bangarang. Yo, you know, so the people on the street, why we can't have a government and people associated with the government that does things by the book? Why we can't have people we're serious about their job? Why these people have to be appearing like some skullduggery people? I mean, Mr. Colleen Lowe, you're at a disadvantage already. You understand? And to maintain your integrity, miss, if you have any, you have to call out things that are done wrong in your space. You cannot be a part of anything that is wrong. Miss Colleen Lowe. And if it is a case where the heads around you that are your bosses are the ones that are involved in anything wrong, take away yourself. Do not engage, Miss Colleen Lowe. Take away yourself. If you are indeed clean, Miss Colleen Lowe, and you have nothing to do with any skullduggery, you witnessing skullduggery, take away yourself. You're too close to the beast. No, the PAAC is not playing, and I am so happy to see the beautiful and intelligent Mrs. Pamela Monroe Ellis. I honestly, you heard what she said? It is my understanding that the clerk did not give any objective. So this is new to me. What is this? Let's play it again. Let's play what she says again.
Her position, I was actually consulting with the AP for that area because...
What does AP mean?
I'm sorry, the audit principal with responsibility for the audit, because what she shared just now, that she granted permission for the vehicle to be used in some circumstances, that's actually new to me. So it is not something that I would have given contemplation to. My understanding up to this point is that there was no evidence that permission was granted for the use of the vehicle. I'm now consulting with my AP on that. In any event, I believe the circular does say that permission has to be granted by the head of entity. This matter is here as an issue because there was no such evidence that any permission was granted, and my my understanding is that the clerk had also denied giving any such permission. I'm hearing something else, though, Mr. Chairman, that I really do not want to provide any opinion on that until I have better particulars of really what existed.
Okay, so
You notice all the Auditor General move? You can't say she bias, you know? Me bias. Me bias. You can't say Auditor General bias, you know? You cannot say that she's biased. She told everything that is factual. My understanding was this, right? But no, this is something different I'm hearing. So hear what? I don't even want to speak on it. I don't want to speculate. I saw the auditor, is your Auditor General that deal with the thing, people? I don't want to speculate. So you're Colleen Low now.
Yes, Madam Clerk, yes.
The facilities and office manager would have made this disclosure to the auditors regarding the fact that he was held up and that permission was granted. And I also do believe
That girl I take people for eat that, you know. So the Auditor General never interview you. What did you tell the Auditor General? If the driver tell the Auditor General, say him get permission. And if she tell the Auditor General, say she never grant no permission, that means somebody is lying. Who is lying? Colleen Low, what you take people for?
that I would, in the exit interviews with the auditors, this would have been stated. What is clear is that there was no written permission, and what is also clear is that no permission was ever granted for there to be any breach of the FAA Act or for any incorrect entries to be made in the logbooks.
So just so I'm clear, so there would have been, after the incident, verbal permission would have been granted given the incident, but nothing was put in writing. So when the Auditor General would have done her audit, she would not have seen evidence of permission in writing.
There is no permission in writing, that is correct, but disclosures would have been made to the auditors by the facilities manager of what transpired when he was held up after leaving work very late one night.
Right, as a Member Bunting and Member Seabright. Member Bunting first.
I'm just trying to get some clarification on that third bullet point. House of Parliament's response dated September 2025 cited an August 15, 2025 memo.
Guys, can you hear it? Can you hear the audio good? Or is it choppy? Please let me know. Because I've been having some issues, you know, man. I don't know if the cold caused it now, make it worse, you know. But the speaker sound weird. It don't clear at all. I don't like it. How is it sounding for you guys? Is it okay? I want to make sure that you guys are having at least a good listening experience because you're not seeing the screen. I'm seeing the screen. So how is the sound quality for you?
Claiming clerk's permission. Evidence not provided. Is that memo in the package? I must say that. If you could.
Hi, Carrie Ann, how are you?
Point me to it.
If you look at HOP 5, in the exhibits that we would have sent.
Oh, this is in your response that just came.
Would it be
No,
in your
management
response?
Response that would have been shared by.
Oh, it's the appendix. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you chop it down. Give me a second. Hopefully that box here working because from the other day it gave me some problem. So I even use this, but this now I go on even worse. It's a bit choppy, Carrie Ann. Guys, give me a second here, please.
Power off.
Why that sound better? Just off of the little plum alone. Yeah. I don't want it too loud though, because I don't want to disturb my good mother.
So, members, I think this is the appendix that you can point us to that
It
particular.
wouldn't be a page, exhibits here.
Exhibit what?
HOP 5.
HOP 5?
Yeah.
I think that should be better. You say Lady Colleen no take people before she's not answering the questions. Also, she's not answering the questions at all. Whatever rabbit hole she don't want to go down, she need to go down there.
Okay.
No, sir. How do like
So this is the one dated or stamped August 15th, 2025?
It's stamped August 18th,
Oh,
but
18th,
it is
sorry,
dated
dated August 15th. So of the 173
Remember, just pull the mic closer so we can hear you.
of the 173 occasions that the employee took home the vehicle, how many of those occasions would have failed approval that you gave?
I would not be in a position to give specific numbers, but that information could be provided in writing.
But qualitatively, would it have been the vast majority? Would it have been half? Would it have been a minority? I just want to get a sense. In other words, was your approval abused, or was it generally in line with what you had approved?
From my own observations, I would state that it appeared that there was no abuse of the permission.
There was no abuse, you said?
Based on my observation at the time, because additional information came to light at a later time, and that is when I would have provided instructions to the legal department. This was in June of last year, for them to also do a review based on information that was coming to my office about the manner in which the vehicle was being used to determine if there was any abuse or non-compliance with the FAA Act. And upon receiving that legal opinion from our internal legal branch, the facilities and office manager was instructed that he should cease driving the motor vehicle, because in addition to instances where it was found that it was being used for personal reasons, it was also discovered that he was not ITA certified at the time. He did not have the proper certification that would have allowed him to be driving the government-owned vehicle.
Was he aware?
Yo, only that all ago? Yo, Jamaica, I want party shopping man in the parliament.
In addition to instances where it was found that it was being used for personal reasons, it was also discovered that he was not ITA certified at the time. He did not have the proper certification that would have allowed him to be driving the government-owned vehicle.
Was he aware?
So how you don't know that? How she don't know that? Who is responsible to make sure that the people that are driving government vehicles are actually qualified to drive them? A party shop business this career.
Aware that he needed that before the ITA certification? Was he aware of
Certainly,
that?
because based on his job description, he had responsibility for fleet vehicle management. And one would want to imagine that any officer using due diligence would certainly be aware as to what is required of them. And I saw something in one of the exhibits where it also indicated that the certification was granted at some particular moment in time. So if it is that it existed and it expired, certainly the officer would have an obligation to.
Oh, so he had it, it expired, and then he renewed it, but there was a gap.
I'm not seeing evidence of renewal.
It was not renewed? No?
I don't have that evidence.
And that certification lasts for how long? I know a driver's license lasts for a particular period.
2 years.
It's 2 years. So every 2 years, the officer would need to renew. So during this period, how long would he have been driving the vehicle without the certification? Approximately how long?
It
Roughly.
expired, I think it expired July 2024. And he continued to have access for July 2023.
But what I would ask, Clark, just in terms of checks and balances, the owner shouldn't be solely on the individual. There should be a process where someone else would need to verify that he, in fact, has the certification. It shouldn't be, just from a process management perspective, it shouldn't be left to him alone and that goes for any individual. Someone should, I can say as parliamentarians, we have to provide our updated documents on a periodic basis to show that we still have our driver's license, etc. So whether it is HR or another function, someone should be checking to ensure that all officers who, whether they're granted government vehicles to drive, that they have the appropriate certification. You want to say something, Madam Auditor
Bro,
General?
listen, this is rudiment. This is basic management, fam. Basic. A man thing can expire from 2023, 2024. And him still a drive up until this a time till the Auditor General report. What the hell can go so? So if the Auditor General never do a report, the man still would not drive without the proper identification. She make it seem as if she not have no responsibility or there's nobody in the government or in the house or in the House of Parliament. Yo, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. Pure mismanagement, bro. They are simple thing, you know. But very important. But it's rude. It's basic management. You know, say it take 2 years for you something expire. You have it on file. Say it expire this time because you have the actual copy. So you're supposed to have somebody where you check, they have all this, okay, this person and this person thing expire around that time. So we're gonna have to check with them to see if they've, like a week or two before, if they have renewed their stuff. That is good management. So why is it that, yo, this is crazy, bro. This is crazy.
Member Seabright, I'll come back to you, but just release him my second. Go ahead, Madam
This
Officer.
is insane.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to emphasize that the clerk has introduced a new dimension. At page 18 of the report, paragraph 2.8.
Sorry, this is your...
Yes, the annual...
This one, this report,
correct.
page 18?
Yes.
Second. Let's just get to it.
Section, the revised comprehensive motor vehicle policy is referred to.
You're on what, 2.7?
2.8.
2.8.
Section 5.4.
Right,
Point 4. So it stipulates that the government vehicle should not be retained overnight or beyond the period of specific assignment in special circumstances, such as where a vehicle is used to transport members of staff. And that is where it indicates that the accounting officer, head of entity, can grant special permission. But I want to emphasize that it says beyond the period of specific assignment. The representative from the Ministry of Finance is here, and I believe it would be useful to hear the Ministry of Finance's position on that, because what I am understanding here is that the clerk is saying that she did in fact give the FOM permission to utilize it for personal reasons. I don't know that a head of entity or an accounting officer can grant permission for a fleet vehicle to be used for personal reasons, but you can grant permission for the vehicle to be retained at the end of a special assignment. So if he's transporting members late in night, or he's asked to do an assignment which takes him beyond working hours, then I do believe that permission can be granted to retain that vehicle overnight. So I really want clarification if that's what the clerk said. And as I said, that this is really being introduced to me at this point.
All right, Madam Clerk.
I want to see why them people get the big bucks. She went for the evidence and read it. Make we hear the response now.
Okay, so Madam Auditor General, just to repeat what I stated earlier, that no permission was granted for private use. I would have given some background information as to why the officer was allowed to use the vehicle, based on extenuating circumstances, he would be at work beyond 9 p.m. and this can be validated. And in light of the fact, and there was a particular time as well, we are existing in a very antiquated building and we were having a lot of challenges. And therefore, at a particular time, he was here up until perhaps 10, 11, very late in the night. And in those circumstances, permission was granted. And this information is not new. It was clearly outlined to the auditors when they were conducting their research here. So it is not new information, and the facilities manager, I know, has stated this.
All right, Member Clark, well, Seabright was first, then Member Clark. Over the Member Seabright.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the Auditor General, the management response, it indicated that once the deficiencies in the fleet logbooks and supervision were identified, the Houses of Parliament instituted, I believe, weekly supervisory spot checks. And they strengthened the approval processes and introduced a rule that no fuel or maintenance is authorized without a clearly defined and pre-approved purpose of travel. So from your professional perspective, would you agree that if this is consistently applied, that these measures would directly address the control weaknesses that have been identified in the audit? Now, beyond that, question two, really know, when I went through the reports, the response outlines that the clerk issued multiple written directives, December 12, 2025, January 14, 2026, January 17, 2026, January 19, 2026, requesting explanations and documentation from the facilities and operations manager. Yet these were, repeated refusals to respond. So how does a committee then, how do we distinguish between what could be some institutional control weaknesses, but really individual non-cooperation? And how does an accounting officer handle a situation like that where somebody's blatantly not following internal accountability processes and the audit itself?
Thanks, Member. My quick response to question number two, I think that question is best suited for the clerk. I guess she ought to explain to the committee how she will handle this matter. In relation to the logbooks, I believe that if there is consistent and faithful maintenance of the logbook, alongside addressing the deficiencies identified, well, certainly it is hope that there would be improvement in that area in the future. And
No. Oh, she never finished.
regular supervision as well. Thanks for that.
Madam.
So Seabright, you expect the Auditor General to tell the clerk of the house over the fair job? Well, he must smoke. He must smoke something. Why should he tell her what to do if people are not complying with the rules? That is not in her remit. That's not in her merit or in her authority to do, to tell the clerk how to do her job. If she does not do anything about it and the thing persists, it's a failure on her and the management of the house. If people are not following the rules at a workplace, say for instance, my business, you will be fired. You will be removed. It's either you comply with the laws and the rules of the establishment or you go your yard. I don't know what them do at Parliament, but if you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, any amount them talk about off, yo, me I want it. At some point the warning gets stale. It's like a bully come lick your side of the head every day and tell him, say, hey boy, if you lick me again, I'm gonna mash you up. No, I'm not endorse violence, and I'm just give an example. Right? Him come again and you tell him the same thing. And him come 10 times straight and you tell him the same thing. You think the bully thinks say you're gonna mash him up? You're mad, man. Bully now stop licking your head. So if you continue to allow the people to do the wrong thing, and just warn them, at some point you have to take action, bro. Money start come out of pay. You know? And then if it continue, you know say, you just not gonna get no pay and you lose a job. And if it's serious, like say some type of breach in terms of where you lose money, we're gonna do a surcharge. And if those things are not implemented as a way that you would sign off to and know that would happen to you, we're gonna put it in a policy. Like things are very simple, hard enough. Hard. They might make life harder than how it's supposed to be, bro.
Clark?
So just to say, Mr. Chair, that our response to the Auditor General's finding has been twofold, where firstly, there was immediate termination of the unauthorized access to prevent any further personal use of the government-owned fleet vehicle. And secondly, we have now institutionalized a new structure where we have a new transport manager in place. We have moved from a person-dependent system to a procedure-driven framework. In fact, we are now at the stage, it was raised in the audit report about the non-operational vehicles that are here, and we are almost at the end of the procurement process in getting a haulage contractor to come and remove those vehicles for boarding. And we have a strict zero tolerance policy on uncertified driving. Currently, I can confirm to the committee that we have no officer here at the Houses of Parliament who is operating any fleet vehicle without valid certification. The new transport manager has also implemented and has been maintaining a mandatory register of ITA certifications, and this also extends itself to the office of the opposition leader's office as well. And the new transport manager has been conducting weekly spot checks and monitoring the logbooks. So no resources are being released unless trips are pre-approved as official business with a clearly defined purpose.
All right, members, Clark, then Cousins. Press your thing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, all. Earlier, the Auditor General would have asked for the permission to be granted for the person from the Finance
Ministry of Finance, Ms. Blake.
To answer a question. But before she does, Mr. Chairman, the same section, page 18, 2.8, I think the answer lies right here. It's section 5.4.4 of the RCMVP stipulates that government vehicles should not be retained overnight. Fine. Or be on a period of specific assignment, correct, except in special circumstances, such as where a vehicle is used to transport members of staff to and from work or for any other justified extenuating circumstances. The policy authorizes the accounting officer to grant permission for the extenuating circumstances. However, she must satisfy himself of the continued safe custody of the vehicle during these specific assignments. I think the answer lies right there.
I think the issue, if you read the next sentence, is that there was no evidence. So I think that's the issue.
The Auditor General is saying that when she was doing the audit,
she didn't see any evidence.
It was provided. But the answer earlier from Madam Clark, and she would have explained the situation point by point.
No.
So at this point, I still don't see the need to ask for, and yes, we still can get the clarity from Finance Ministry. But the answer sits right here. It rests with the authorized person to satisfy themselves that this is a special occasion, which we would have heard that the person in question, the officer in question, works beyond sociable time, which I believe is anywhere beyond 9 o'clock going up, considering the situation that was presented to us that prior to that, his life was in question as it relates to a robbery taking place.
Okay. Member Cousins?
Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, my question and my point is somewhat piggybacks on the point made by Member Clark, in the sense that we are here, Chairman, to get some clarity on what is acceptable and what is unacceptable as far as the government guidelines are concerned. The clerk would have indicated earlier, one, that she allowed access for the unauthorized, for the use to go to university and come back, and also to keep overnight. 2 admissions were made earlier. The Ministry of Finance is here, and so we need some clarity, because this doesn't only affect the House of Parliament, it affects other agencies of government in terms of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. We have a scenario before us, whether or not that is acceptable in terms of the extenuating circumstances. I have not heard of any evidence from the officer who says that he was robbed, that he made a police report, and that report is somewhere attached to something given to the Auditor General to verify the extenuating circumstances. So
he did. Did he?
Yes, and that can be provided.
It's not provided.
No, it's not provided in the exhibits here, but it can be provided.
No, but you see, the point is that if you have it, provide it so that you can verify what you're saying is true. And that would not have allowed me now to ask the question, because I perused the documents, I did not see it. And to an untrained eye, miss it. But to a trained eye, we don't miss things like that. So thank you for that clarification. No, she says that she'll provide it. But, Chairman, I believe the Ministry of Finance
Okay, I'll ask
ought to
Mrs.
provide
Hoblake.
some clarity based on the circumstances.
Hold on, we have a whole heap of mics on.
Before the ministry responds, because I too just want to add something to that. The memorandum of August 15th from the Facilities and Office
Members, please. Member Cousins, please.
Speaks to the whole issue of driver certification. And I just want to understand why, the Island Traffic Authority, aren't they the body that issues driver's license generally? Why do they not accept their own driver's license certification? Why is there a special certification needed to drive a government vehicle when you already have a driver's license?
I don't know who here could answer that question.
No, but it just seems like unnecessary bureaucracy to me. Why would you need? It's the same Island Traffic Authority that would have issued every driver's license, whether private, commercial, general, whatever the categories are. So why would you need a special certification from the same authority that issued the first one? Is it they don't trust their own certification?
Wow.
Because this is not a specialized vehicle. We're not talking some heavy articulated tractor head or something like that. We're just talking a regular, Prado. So that's one. And then there's this issue about the distinction between the yellow plated vehicles, and I'm reading from this memo, and the privately insured. So I'm going to assume that the yellow plated vehicles are uninsured or self-insured by the government, and that the privately insured vehicles are the ones with the regular white plates. And again, I just want to understand if there's some distinction between those who are certified to drive the same vehicle, for example, a Prado that might have yellow plate in one instance, but white plate in another instance, but it's the identical vehicle.
All right, I don't know who can answer those questions, but I want to invite Mrs. Blake from the Ministry of Finance. Member Gunn, just release your mic and then turn it back on after. No, he was after him. I'll come to you. I'll come to you after, Member Cuthbert.
All right. Member Clark read from the policy, but I'll just read another section that talks about the unproductive use of fleet vehicles. Section 5.4.2 of the Comprehensive Government Motor Vehicle Policy says, drivers and other authorized employees who operate fleet vehicles must note that the government motor vehicles should only be used for official duties. Therefore, on no occasion should these vehicles be used privately. So that generally governs the use of fleet vehicles. He read further down by 5.4.4, which talks about the extenuating circumstances that gives the accounting officer the right to give permission to an officer to use the vehicles. But of course, you would have seen up here that it spoke about not using it for private use. And the example given here is if persons work late and you have the driver, then you wouldn't require the driver to carry back the vehicle to the premises of the entity, right? So the driver would be allowed permission to take home that vehicle once the accounting officer satisfies him or herself that the vehicle will be safe. So that's generally it. So there is the possibility that the accounting officer can give permission. In this case, he said he was robbed, etc. But of course, there needs to be evidence of that. And therefore, it would need to be in writing, because you would also need to know how long is this permission being granted. So those are the considerations. In terms of Mr. Member Bunting's question about the yellow plate and the white plate, assigned vehicles. So if most of the assigned vehicles are privately insured, are insured, not self-insured. Fleet vehicles generally are self-insured by the government.
And those are yellow plates?
Yellow plates.
Okay. All right, Member Gordon, then Member Cuthbert. Oh, she answered it? Okay, Member Gordon.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm grappling with the fine line of demarcation between what is approved by the accounting officer and the policy as it relates to who can drive a government vehicle. It would also seem to me that there's a void where there's one driver short at the parliament. So over time, that driver was asked to carry out those functions. Would the Auditor General tell me whether or not that constitutes a breach? Or is it that the clerk failed to have adequate staff on board so as to avoid the approval of the use of that vehicle?
Thanks for that question. Mr. Chairman, if you'd allow me the privilege of deferring to the representative from the Ministry of Finance, who developed the policy, and I think is in a best position to indicate the intent of the policy.
Okay. Mrs. Blake?
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, section 5.4 again, earlier, it talks about the transport manager will be the officer authorized by the accounting officer to assign and manage the motor vehicles. The intention is that government vehicles, government-owned vehicles, are driven by, we call designated drivers, government drivers. So that's the general rule, right? If you have a government-owned vehicle, not the assigned vehicles now, but once you have a fleet vehicle, there is a driver and there is a post, there are posts designated for drivers to operate those fleet vehicles. So generally,
Hold on, something wrong with the mic there.
Oh,
you want to turn off that one, use the other one. Turn it on off, use the other one.
I think I might speak.
Right. In addition, the policy says the transport manager has that only authorized personnel are allowed the use of a fleet vehicle. All right. So there might be instances where there is given permission for another officer to drive the fleet vehicle. However, that person has to be certified, etc., to drive the vehicle. And we do not expect that that would be on a protracted period of time either, because you have positions that were created for drivers, and it is expected that they operate the vehicles.
Andrea,
all right, Mrs. Blake, I want to come back to one. Oh, you want to ask your question now? Okay, you had asked to do.
Ask another question, if I
Okay, all right. Before you do, just following up on what Member Bunting had asked about the difference between the ITA certification versus the driver's license. Is that a requirement developed by the Ministry of Finance for certain vehicles that the person must be ITA in addition to having their driver's license?
The motor vehicle policy does indicate that the driver has to be certified. However, this is in keeping with the ITA, the act that they use. So it's just a reflection of what the ITA requires, that the drivers are certified. I think this came out of a concern that there were multiple accidents, and the ITA had, at the time, felt that part of the issue was that the drivers needed to be recertified.
And this goes across the board for all government vehicles?
Across the board.
Okay. All right, Member Corporation.
I hope we can wrap this part up soon, but from what the member just stated, I think it's a non-issue what was mentioned if the clerk failed or not to employ someone to transport persons around. Ms. Hope Blake just mentioned that the FAA Act, according to the FAA Act, once authorization is granted for the vehicle to be, for someone to keep it overnight in extenuating circumstances, that I'm hearing that it's okay once it's written, correct? So I think it's a non-issue for you to mention if the clerk failed or not. I just wanted to point that out.
Let me just say before, remember.
You know what them say? If you don't have nothing, if you say don't say nothing, she should adapt that. What is she talking about?
The only reason this was flagged as an issue, at the time of the audit, the Auditor General didn't see written permission, which is why she raised this as an issue. The clerk has said that she provided it to the auditors in the interviews, but at the time she didn't see it. All right. Member Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think my question was misinterpreted by a member from West Rural St. Andrew. At no stage did I refer to the clerk as being derelict in her duty. I asked the question whether or not the shortage of a driver would place that person who was authorized to use the vehicle in a precarious position because he was acting in a capacity not available to the Parliament at that time. And hence I'm asking the question whether or not it would satisfy the Auditor General that the accountable officer made that authorization.
Hold on, Pablo, hold on.
All right, I'm going to move to the issue of the government-funded credit card.
All right, me not go there, so. I'll deal with that in the morning. Yo, Pablo, don't move. We're going to talk about that something there. That 700 sterling something there. I'm going to look it. I'm going to go in at it. I'm going to go in at it. I'm going at it. I'm going at it. I'm going at it. Hold on there. We are going at it. I'm going to say me I do. We are going at it. But before we do, Christopher Tufton. The nurse, them say them not coming back. Almighty God, this has to be recorded. This has to be recorded. I'm sorry, this has to be recorded. Ain't no way, bro. Bruh. Ain't no way. Alright? This has to be recorded. Yeah. No little joke. No little joke. No little joke.
Two decades ago has some frank words for a highly qualified Jamaican nurse who left for greener pastures in the United States nearly 2 decades ago has some frank words for Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, specifically regarding his call for nurses to come home to help deal with a crisis in the health sector. "No, we're not coming back," said Dr. Cheryl Morgan, who migrated in 2009 after graduating as a registered nurse from the University of the West Indies, UWI, in St. Andrew. She went on to excel in her chosen profession, pursuing doctoral studies, writing a book titled Jamaican Born, about her humble beginnings and becoming a businesswoman. Dr. Morgan said the call near year-end by the health minister, in the face of an acute shortage of nurses, had raised eyebrows among Jamaican nurses in the U.S., noting that she and her migrant colleagues had left to seek better salaries, benefits, and work environments in America, Canada, England, and even other Caribbean islands. The reality is that nurses are treated poorly in Jamaica by various governments. I was tired of seeing nurses demonstrating with placards every time they should get a salary increase. When I was a nurse in Jamaica, nurses were just poor, she told the Jamaica Observer. You could see them walking on the streets to the bus stop after work. They couldn't afford a car. They couldn't afford a mortgage. For the few nurses who were in a better position financially, it was not because of their salaries. It was because of help from their spouses or family members, or a lot of overtime work to make ends meet. The public always ostracized nurses when they lobbied for a raise of pay. They said nursing is a calling and it should not be about the money. Yet, we struggled to pay our bills and send our children to good schools. Nurses were not getting a livable wage to compensate them for their education and expertise. Then we were approached by international recruiters who paid a salary that we never dreamed of, said Dr. Morgan, who hails from the little-known enclave of Top Mountain in rural St. Catherine. When I arrived in America, I was placed in a beautiful apartment with excellent amenities, including a swimming pool, in a gated community. There were incremental salary increases yearly. Morgan's narrative suggests that Dr. Tufton would find the going tough as he tries to entice the nurses to respond positively to his invitation in a situation where, for example, 27%, or 1,730 of all positions in the Western Regional Health Authority, WRHA, are now vacant. And that is only in one of 4 regions. Tufton said he had thrown the invites out to Jamaicans during recent visits to Washington, D.C., New York, and Miami, and that he would be formalizing it through actual advertising and promotion. Making the case for their return, he pointed to improvements in the country's infrastructure, ongoing hospital upgrades, efforts to reduce crime, and the opportunity for individuals to have more disposable income, saying it had made Jamaica increasingly attractive as a place to live and work. What this means, I believe, and I'm saying so with a lot of faith and conviction and hope, is that some of the very Jamaicans who have left our shores for greener pastures will reconsider and return to our shores, he said. And we're saying to Jamaicans who live in the diaspora, whether it is in Canada, the UK, the USA, or elsewhere, come back home. We have a place for you in the health system within the areas, obviously, where we are short of specialists. We will find a way to incentivize you to relocate. We will work with you because we would like all those posts to be filled by Jamaicans who have left us, which is their right so to do, the minister appealed. He would also be focusing on nurses who have not yet been lured away from Jamaica, stating that there would be a housing program for staff across the country and more training opportunities. But he insisted that some positions were difficult to fill because of the location and the specialized skills required. For example, specialized nurses and doctors. He also acknowledged that the shortage had resulted in staff being overworked. Morgan, saying that the health minister was looking for a quick solution to a long-standing problem, suggested he would have an uphill climb. While we endured some adjustment issues, when we first arrived in the US, we eventually learned the culture about building credit and was able to start helping families back home in Jamaica. We were able to advance our career without prejudice. There was no sister from nursing administration to block our applications to get specialized training or to study advanced nursing. We no longer had to suck up to anyone to be transferred to another unit. Now that we walked away from a broken system in Jamaica that suffocated us for many years, experienced success, acquired assets, built houses back in Jamaica, helped our parents and siblings. They are calling us to return to a broken system that has minimal improvement from what we left, she said. On a long list of inadequacies, she had a lack of new hospitals since 2008, no significant hospital upgrades, hospital patients still being admitted in a room that is separated by drapes, lack of 4 pumps to administer 4 fluids, patients' relatives still being asked to buy their medications and surgery supplies or drinking water for the patients outside of the hospital. She also named the shortage of ambulances to transfer people from their homes to the hospital, and passersby still throwing accident victims in the back of pickup trucks to take them to the hospital, and the like. However, Dr. Morgan suggested ways in which expatriate nurses could help Jamaica with their expertise, even while not coming back to live. We can offer our expertise to the government to show them how to set up proper infrastructure and services in the hospitals, advise how to set up telemedicine services in Jamaica, show the government how to set up satellite clinics, standalone emergency rooms, and urgent care centers to serve more patients. We can show the government a lot, but we will not return to the bedside. We cannot return to the same broken system, the same way the politicians practice the same old-time politics. We got a taste of a more efficient healthcare system and the ease of delivery of care. There are available resources that improve patient care and nursing support systems. There are vast opportunities to advance our careers, Morgan said. She believes it is time for Jamaica to revamp its healthcare system and improve it, one public hospital at a time, and offer jobs to the new nurses who have graduated from nursing schools in Jamaica who have not been employed. Instead of asking nurses to come home, improve the system to attract young people to join the profession and not ask them, expatriate nurses, to return to sacrifice more, she added. DNP, Master of Science in Nursing, MSN, Family Nurse Practitioner, FNP, and Bachelor's Degree in Nursing, BSN. She is a family nurse practitioner with approximately 20 years' experience in the healthcare industry and operates a clinic with emphasis on type 2 diabetes, offering care to patients who lack health insurance. She is licensed to practice in the states of Arizona, Florida, Iowa, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Texas, and Utah. As a philanthropist, she runs the Stop a Gap Foundation, serving needy individuals in her top mountain district with the support of her husband, a U.S. Army veteran. Nurse Cheryl Morgan left, sharing the trophy for class prize with colleague Claudine Witter on the occasion of their graduation from the University Hospital School of Nursing. Both were recruited to work in the United States and have maintained a close friendship. She is also a family nurse practitioner in the USA as well. Dr. Cheryl Morgan in graduation regalia at Grand Canyon University, Arizona, United States. Dr. Cheryl Morgan at her place of work. 51 comments. Make a comment.
Christopher Tufton, they're not coming back. They're not coming back, Christopher Tufton. Did you hear what this lady achieved in America? Built a house in Jamaica while still working in America. Taking care of siblings while still working in America. And have a life in America. And Christopher Tufton, I tell them, say, if you don't like it, leave. You think that the people might come back to Jamaica? If you not sick in a phone head and take people for idiot. I just some of them laboratory go like them are idiot in a sexy fatty 77. Some of the laboratory them are going like them are idiot. Cock up. But people come back where? At least we have that full article there as evidence. I'll be posting it, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll be giving my commentary on the post. Alright, let's move on. Daryl Vaz. Good night. Good night, Daryl Vaz. How are you? How are you, Daryl? Man, it's the PDTV, but right now, Auditor General, big up yourself. Right now, me don't want to believe what Andrea said. But see the article here? Jesus Christ. Father God help me. What is going on? The acquisition of 200 Starlink devices at a cost of 12 million following the death and destruction caused by Hurricane Melissa was in contravention of Jamaica's public procurement legislation, the Auditor General Department has disclosed. The disclosure was among the findings of the compliance audit of the Auditor General's of the audit of the government's Hurricane Melissa Relief Initiative. So, ladies and gentlemen, 3 months in to their recovery, the Auditor General already finding things that are, you know, the acquisition of 200 Starlink devices at a cost of 12 million following the death and destruction caused by Hurricane Melissa was in contravention of Jamaica's public procurement legislation. Carry this over here, so. Right there, so thank you. Contravention, what does that mean? Controversy, contravention. So, no. Contravention, yes. Contravention. Meaning, an action which offends against a law, treaty, or other ruling. So, the procurement is unlawful. We just want that to soak in. Alright? It's unlawful. It's unlawful. Yo, Jamaica, I'm telling you, say, yo, Jano, these people are incredible. These people are incredible. Let me see if I can open this thing here. I have the other one open, so if I can't open that, I'm going to move on to the video. Move on to the video. Leave that video there open. PDTV. Oh, I forgot to say backup channel. Oh yeah, I know if I find a link though. Here we go. Alright, perfect. go.
It is wrong, Jamaica. I know what Tutsi season look like. The Auditor General has started already. The Auditor General has started to look at the relief funds in Hurricane Beryl. The Auditor General is saying thus far that the procurement of 200 starlings has gone bad. You remember I said to you that the government have the starlink them and sell? You remember telling about it? The Auditor General tonight, Jamaica, Pamela Monroe Ellis, has confirmed that over 200 starlings by this government. Over 200 starlings by this government. Over 200 starlings.
Yeah, boy.
Have procurement breaches once more. But, oh, it must be too.
Yo, Daryl Vaz has to go, bro. Father God, we need you. You know I'm stating the obvious. We need you, Father God, to help us to remove these bloodsuckers, these vampires from the government. We absolutely cannot continue with these people. These vipers.
200 when Daryl Vaz tell me earlier last year, said 700 starlings.
And I have the article right here. Telecoms network rebounding as Jamaica receives 700 Starlink. November 5th, 2025, November 11th, 2025. We have 700 Starlings from last year. Why are they procuring 200 more? Are the 700 Starlings in use? Is there evidence of them being in use? Can we do, is there a log where we can say, well, these places have the Starlink? Because, please, ladies and gentlemen, program, that the internet is not good where they are still. So where's all these Starlings? Where are they? You guys remember when I had suggested that they have like a center where you have like a 5-6 Starlink, and you know you have the medical services there, and people can stay and have a roof over their head that don't get back them house yet, and you have the police and you have the security, and everybody would work and operate from there. Big area covered, you know, mobile bathrooms, you know, water things set up, all of that. You remember when I was saying that? And they could use the Starlinks them in these central areas like that. Because remember there was a big hullabaloo about you know, not giving away these generators. I'm gonna say you can't use the generator them in them area they went on the light. True. Yeah. They could do that. And a more permanent way, you know, JPS do what they do in the meantime. But it says right here, guys, the Kingston, Jamaica telecommunications sector is steadily recovering following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, bolstered by the arrival of hundreds of satellites. Unit ongoing restoration works by major providers. Transport Telecommunications Minister Daryl Vaz, speaking Tuesday at a press conference at Jamaica House, announced that 700 Starlink satellite units have been donated to support emergency communication across the island. Adi Wagwan. 700 Starlings have been donated. That means that we never pay for them, it was given to us. He said the devices are being distributed to key agencies, including Jamaica Defense Force, Jamaica Constabulary Force, Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, Jamaica Fire Brigade, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The kits will enhance communication and strengthen logistics, coordination, and accelerate national response in affected areas, he explained. It also said, according to VAS, 400 Starlink units came directly from Starlink's head office, and its team currently assisted on the ground in Jamaica. An additional 200 units were provided by charity organizations, MediCorp, while 100 more came through other donors. He added that the government has identified local supplier with 250 and 350 additional units in stock, which the state is now imploring to purchase to further strengthen national connectivity. So 400 from them, an additional 200 were provided by charity organization, and while 100 more came through their donors. And it says here, he added that the government has identified a local supplier with 250 to 350 additional units in stock, which the state is now exploring to purchase to further strengthening national connectivity. Now, based off what Head Boy asked on Andre's show, which company is that? That is have 250 to 350 of these Starlinks, and the company, who owns the company, is there anybody in the parliament that a them family member own the company? Was there proper procurement to identify if are the only company that then could I get from the Starlink? I have a lot of questions. Right? It goes on to say, so that we can roll out a full apparatus of Starlink that is required for essential government and NGOs that are working in this era, he said. Meanwhile, telecom providers continue to restore service distributed by the hurricane by the hurricane. Flow Jamaica is currently operating at 87%, and its pre-hurricane capacity, initially reported, has restored 57% of its mobile network, while its fixed lines and business networks have reached 89% and 79% restoration respectively. VAS said that the donated satellite systems combined with continued restoration works are critical to reestablishing and reliable communications across the island, especially in communities still struggling with limits of access due to the Hurricane Melissa. Again, Flow and Digicel are working hard to make sure that they get connectivity, and I'm working with them to get some additional spectrum so that they can improve their service during this time, VAS said. As for fuel supply, the minister says the majority of petrol stations are now operational. That's the end of the article. Now let's get back to Andre. Yo.
Aye, sir. You know what? Me go take a rat trap to me, man. Tutsis to Jamaica. Remember when Daryl Bars in Hurricane Melissa told us, Jamaica, that the people put it up bigger, Ishmael. Put it up bigger, because that is very, and that's why a lot of people. And I want to say to everybody who is watching this program tonight, I want to say to everyone, put it up the one with Daryl Bars picture. Let us get there. We want to show them tonight. Daryl Bars told Jamaica, I want to say, I can't believe somebody on the backup channel, may have 8,000 people there. It show you that anywhere I go, the people follow.
I don't know why Andre was surprised. Andre, why are you surprised? I wasn't surprised. I actually was thinking that there would be more. Because remember, last night you didn't get to go live. And everybody is like, where's Andre? People call me, I say, I don't know what is going on though. Let me check, because I was on the road. Right? And I was not on YouTube, you get me? And then when I come home in the night, I just watch the programs them and peruse and see what's going on, look at the newspaper. And that's one of the reasons why I said, you know what? I usually do this in the late night anyway. Why don't I go live and do what I'm doing right now? and we can have back and forth discussions for those who want to engage. And so I've made it a show. So guys, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, and every Thursday, I am live late night news recap. I call it the nightly news recap. All right, NNN. Yeah, where you're gonna get the facts. This is not that NNN. This is the NNN, where you're gonna get the objective reasoning based off the facts. Yes.
Jamaica. Daryl Vaz told the world on the 11th of November 2025 that telecom network rebounding as Jamaica receives 700 Starlinks units after Melissa.
That's the article I just read. Because I had to go back. I was like, wait, what? When I saw this on Andrea, I said, wait, same time I go back and forth. I'm looking for the article. I'm like, oh, snap. There it is.
Jamaica's telecom sector is steadily recovering following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, bolstered by the arrival of hundreds of satellite internet units and ongoing restoration work by the major providers. Transport and Telecommunications Minister Daryl Vaz, speaking Tuesday at a press conference, said that 700 Starlink units have been donated to support the emergency communication on the island. Hey. Right, Jamaica. So where are the 700 Starlinks? Where Courtney are the 700 Starlings? I don't know. And here is the Auditor General now, Jamaica. Now the Auditor General says, hey, Rabasai, mighty God, look at the realities, Jamaica. Look at the realities. The audit revealed that the procurement of 200 satellite Starlink devices was initiated by the ministerial instruction from Daryl Vaz, Minister of Energy, Transport and Telecommunication, rather than the Director General from the Office of the Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. So here is, remember, Andrew only said he's going to make everything go through at 10.
But I couldn't get to read this. This is what I wanted to read, the article. The audit revealed that the procurement of 200 devices was initiated by the ministerial instruction from Daryl Vaz, Minister of Energy and Transport, right? Rather than by the Director General of the Office of the Disaster Preparedness and Emergency. So Daryl Vaz is going outside of him remit, outside him own authority. In this regard, he's not the one that's supposed to do that. Why? Because the article with Andre showed before, I read the entire thing, and you guys heard what it said. It said outside of the 700 what them say them have, them claims say them give 400 to this agency and fire brigade and all them something. I am asking, where is the documentation to show say we not actually do that? Cause I don't trust them. That's the first thing. We need the documentation to say, yo, see there. This sign off, it is at this police station. We have that amount there, so and when we add it up, we get 700. We get 400 because of that them say them are gonna do it for, right? You say additional to the 700, right? They would need two. They are looking into a company that has 200 to 350 Starlink. I am asking the question based off what I heard. Head boy asks. Excuse me. Head boy asked if Daryl Vaz, do you own a company that sells Starlink? I believe that's what he said. Something to that effect. We're gonna play it, but I am saying, is it your own company or your friend company or your family company? The 250 to 350 additional Starlink is that he initiated, which he doesn't have the authority to initiate. And then again, is there any proper procurement procedure being followed? Is there another company in Jamaica that actually sells Starlink? These questions are legitimate questions based off what has happened in previous procurements with the friend and company business. And anything to do with Daryl Vaz is questionable because his daughter-in-law, the SSL building was gifted to her. Like, listen, I don't trust these people, bro. Personally, I do not trust these people. So we need some answers where this is concerned, because we know some of them are skullduggery people straight up. You understand? You don't look good.
Remember Andrew Holness said everything was going to go through admin.
Yeah.
No! The Auditor General is saying that Daryl Valsh took upon himself to initiate 200 starlings that should have gone through the emergency procurement guidelines of the ODPE.
Exactly. What that for?
However, only the head of the entity is legally empowered to initiate procurement. And there's no provision under the Public Procurement Act that allows the minister to approve or initiate commitments.
Hold on there. What I want to ask, because I've been listening to Mr. Will Rattigan. You have the procurement rules. Is there any real consequence to breaking procurement rules? Like, this is unlawful. Do you get 3 months in a prison? You pay $1 million, depending on the situation between this amount and that the amount. What is the actual? Just like a man will shoot somebody, bro, you go to prison. You get fined with a gun, you get 15 years. All of this. What is the clear punishment for doing what Daryl Vaz did? Because if there's no actual consequence, the government official, them are going to continue to do it. Them bare face, them don't care. At this point, see how them behave. They don't care if they appear to be corrupt. They don't. They don't. So if there is no real punishment for these acts, then what it don't make no sense. It's already hearing the man them just go along with themselves, brother, and just going with a bag of things. And then the Jamaican people know we are the problem. Because there's too many people in this country that support the Jamaica Labour Party. Way too many people. You guys support criminality. You guys support corruption. You are the problem. So you have empowered these individuals to do this and get away with it. And nothing come of it. Right now, if establishments and bodies was to come out and call for the resignation of Daryl Vaz, you hear anything from Andrew? Will you hear anything from Andrew? One thing. Mum's the word. I'm not talking about Christopher Tufton. What kind of secret Christopher Tufton and for Andrew? You really believe some have secret for him? It don't make no sense.
Suppliers or vendors or group.
Go back.
However, only the head of the entity is legally empowered to initiate procurement. And there's no provision under the Public Procurement Act that allows the minister to approve or initiate commitments, select suppliers or vendors, or give any directive to ODPM to which supplier to pay the audit report stated.
So he can't even give them the directive. He not have no power at all in the process. How did we get here?
Further, the AG noted that the Starlink's devices were delivered to the office of the police commissioner by Dr.
What?
Kevin Blake on November 14, 2025. However, audit found that ODPM began preparing the required documentation. An internal emergency procurement requisition formed stated 5 years after. The 5 years don't sound like they said 5 years when him take by the house.
So ladies and gentlemen, the same thing is at my UHWI. At the same thing at my UHWI. It appears to be a systematic way of doing things. This appears to be what they do. And they're running the same playbook over and over and over again. Mixmaster overdose. And general, it appears that they're doing the same thing over and over again, ladies and gentlemen. The proper procedures are not being followed. Where procurement is concerned, people are initiating procurements that don't have the authority to initiate those procurements. Even in the case of what we just looked at with Colleen Law, that situation is absurd. How is it that somebody doesn't have proper certification to drive the government vehicle, driving it for months, and nobody doesn't check from management side? That is like a man going to a restaurant, has a food handlers, and I don't know if it's every year you have to do over your food handlers, but the time when you're supposed to it expire, when you're supposed to get another one. That person is working at your establishment, and there's nobody in HR that is designated to say, we haven't gotten a new food handlers permit from you, and the last one you gave us have expired. According to our documents, to continue working here, you'd have to present one immediately. Where is that type of accountability in the government, in the house, like what? Man, something wrong with Jamaica mash up, Jamaica mash up. Them simple little things there. Make you know say Jamaica mash up. Those simple things, because you see, it starts from the little things, and the little things become the bigger things, and then it becomes gigantic. It becomes a failure. And all those failures from that microcosm, macrocosm. So everything about so.
And sell the house of Florida, mighty God. The requisition form, which forms the procurement request approvals justification for emergency procurement, supplies election and risk assessment created retroactively to formalize the process. So after that, we'll do everything we do in call meeting Jamaica and tell the people themselves, go put through the procurement fee. The AG added that a review determined that 128 Starlink devices were distributed among 17 entities, 13 of which confirmed receipt of a total of 86. So what do you say this Starlink thing? However, physical inspections conducted at 8 entities revealed that all 41 devices issued to them remained unused and in storage. So people need Starlink and 41 in a storage. Mighty God.
No, we have to go back. No, we have to digest that part that's slow. Yo, this no normal. We can't just brush over that. Yo, them people are serious. No, man.
Than 28 Starlink devices were distributed among and tell the people themselves, go put through the procurement fee. The AG added that a review determined that 128 Starlink devices were distributed among 17 entities, 13 of which confirmed receipt of a total of 86.
Wow. So there's only 13 confirmations out of 128. Lara, how are you doing? 13 confirmations out of 138. 28, sorry.
So where the rest of the Starlink thing? However, 18 entities, 13 of which con 28 in fee. The AG added that a review determined people that will do everything we do in call meeting Jamaica and tell the people themselves, go put through the procurement fee.
Hi, Laura.
The AG added that a review determined that 128 Starlink devices were distributed among 17 entities, 13 of which confirmed receipt of a total of 86.
So 86 from 128. That left 14, 28, 42. Where next 42 there? Where next 42 Starlink then there?
So where the rest of the Starlink thing?
Wow.
However, physical inspections conducted at 8 entities revealed that all 41 devices issued to them remained unused and in storage. So people need Starlink and 41 in a storage. Mighty God. Ball!
Can't take your ball out. Pass the ball like too late. Can't ball out right now.
Daryl said it's 7. Jamaica, I'm going to show you a pattern.
Yes.
Daryl said it's 700 starlings that are free.
Mm-hmm.
That he got, Courtney.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only 200. So with the next 500 starling that Daryl has. He told us in November of 500. No. 700. The Auditor General only identified 200. Where the next 500 there? And if you realize...
No, it's not that. That's not what I'm understanding. That's not what I'm understanding.
It's a trend, Courtney. Like what happened at UA Hospital, like what happened at Fly Green Agriculture Ministry. Every procurement is retroactive. After them do the skullduggeries, then them put in something in place. After them identify them friend and come below.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Accurate.
What can go?
That is accurate. That is accurate.
These people are Tutsis, Jamaica. These people are hardened criminals. You have how many schools without a Starlink and internet?
Mighty God. What are they?
40.
No, seriously. Bro, the man are raised on serious point. Right? Furthermore, I think he's looking at it. That's not how I'm understanding it. They already have a donated amount of starlings. So they would be procuring 200 more, which would make it 900 starlings. So where's all those other starlings? Where them go? Where is the documentation to say them receive it and them have it and it's being used for this? Because, well, the Auditor General said 41 that they're not using. Why do we have 41 starlings put down when there are schools that need it? That don't make no sense for real. That don't make no sense. 41 starling put down? Almost school in starling? By the way, isn't the school supposed to be reopening to some capacity? And they have issues about internet connectivity. This don't make, bro. I don't know, Jamaica. You guys have to come to the conclusion for yourselves. You have to figure it out for yourselves. What Andre Stevens does on a Mystic Sensation and everybody else, ABR News, out of the Press Document TV, Jamaica Hot Topic, you name it, a sulfur, what we do is shine a light on the information. Because sometimes, you guys listen to the news and some things miss you, It even miss me too, I not tell no lie. And then I go back and I listen again and I say, hold on there. But if this and that, how comes that and this? And we uncover a pattern and we say, oh my God, how did we miss that? And it more often than not, when it comes on to this government, it actually makes the thing look worse than we thought it was. Zine, so you have 700 donated, 200 procured. That's 900 starling.
The one, where the next 500 the Jamaica? He told you it's 700. The Auditor General identified 200. Where the next 500 there?
Help, WPI?
Where the next 500 there? I see a boy pan youth social media. Say I want contractor for the government of Jamaica. And when I said, me say this, I look like it's a perfect chopper.
Me nah look.
Perfect chopper, Jamaica.
Nothing to say.
Perfect chopper. Ishmael, make them hear what the contractor said tonight. Call the contractor. I want Jamaica to listen to how this young man express himself. The man say, I'll build clinic for the government of Jamaica. I don't see nothing.
One question that everybody's going to be asking me is, what do you do for a living? Hotels, construction, heavy.
First of all, what do you do for a living? Hotels, construction, heavy equipment, clinics. That's what he does for a living. He does hotels. What do you mean him does it? What do you mean? You go to hotels, you go to... What do you mean? If you say you do construction, you know. Hold on. Maybe never. Maybe I mean. Hold on. Let me give him a chance. Hold on.
SMEs, what do you do for a living? Hotels, construction, heavy equipment.
Hotels, construction. It should be hotel construction. But him say hotels, so it kind of messed me up. Hotels. That are hotels. Construction and construction. So a hotel construction. And him does heavy equipment. That part the kind of, what do you mean by he does heavy equipment? You rent heavy equipment, you drive heavy equipment, what you do? You understand? Kind of weird. I don't know. You know.
Government of Jamaica. I don't see no.
One question that everybody's going to be asking me is, what do you do for a living? Hotels, construction, heavy equipment, clinics. I do a wide range of things. A lot of government contracts.
You should have started with that, my brother. You know, I do a lot of work for the government, period. And yeah, man. I do a lot of contractual work for the government. That would have been a more believable answer. He would have not had people suspicious about if you really know what you're doing or if you're qualified to do what you're doing. Because I'm sorry, that answer doesn't sound like somebody that is building hotels and clinics. That doesn't sound like somebody that has that capacity to be managing those things. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just being honest. Kind of sound away.
Play it again, this time. Play it again.
One question that everybody's going to be asking me is, what do you do for a living? Hotels, construction, heavy equipment, clinics. I do a wide range of things. A lot of government contracts.
What can go so?
Damn, man.
But no 100. But then, if they said the 700 items were donated, Courtney, how comes Darila procured 200? How comes Daryl has said?
The teacher, yeah, you just see it no. Because it can't be. You donated 700. That means say you don't have them already. You can't procure where you donate. So almost 200 more. But like I said before, where's the documentation to prove that those 700 starlings is being used right now? Where's that information to validate to say, yeah man, we need more, so we are procure them? Where's that? That's what I'm asking.
He might procure 200 and he get 700.
900.
I'm gonna say it again, Jamaica. Only not think, only get it. You not get it, no Courtney. Daryl confirm. Go back to the 11th of November. Jamaica, this is why we are going to beat them with facts, you know. Daryl said he has gotten 700 starlings free of cost.
Sure did.
How then Daryl procured 200? If he gets 700, Courtney, so that means a 900 starling.
Yes.
What can go?
Yes, that's exactly what that means. That's exactly
So I'm a
right.
700 style, I'm a 500 styling missing. Because them say 100 at the place, 41 in a storage. So that is almost 700 plus stylings. Unaccounted for.
Help. We hear the rhetoric.
Ed boy, good night. Is what go on, yes or no?
You have to listen to that question from Ed Boy. These questions, very important.
This was the point I wanted to raise with you, but you hit the nail on the hammer.
You call me and listen to him, you know, at this point before, when he just started talking about the vase, you know. I said to myself, but no. Oh, the auditor general, if you procure items that are already donated, I must more. So you take a add on to the 700. But the question now, this man asks one serious question.
100 of these things were donated. These were donated in collaboration with UNICEF. Yeah? In collaboration with UNICEF. Now, the 200, he was initiating a procurement by himself. But let me ask Darrell a question and allow you to finish your thought. Darrell Vance, are you an agent in Jamaica for Starlink? Do you operate a company that rents Starlink or sells Starlink to local companies?
What is it?
I am asking the Minister of Telecommunications if he is an agent for Starlink in Jamaica. That's the first question. The second question, if the answer is yes in affirmative, does he have a company that sells Starlink to local companies in Jamaica?
But if he has a company, that would have been a major conflict of interest.
That is why you see the 200 procurement that come, it's not for the government, it's for himself. I can't leave it.
Me nah look. Me not looking. Me not look. Me say me nah. Boy, me nah look. So, ladies and gentlemen, what? They're targeting Nikisha Burchell? NNN, who is company 1, 2, and 4? What do you mean they're not targeting Nikisha Burchell? What is it?
This is clear sabotaging. How could you have 5 constituency in St. James? So welcome again to the channel, Life with Jennifer JM, and I am your girl, Auntie Jen, my viewers, my friend, and my subscriber. This is sabotaging. This is clear sabotaging. How could you have 5 constituency in St. James and 4 constituencies is for the JLP and 1 for the PNP. And the only one that will stop from having their football league is the PNP one. Don't tell me if it makes sense. If it come from the High Commission to stop the competition. No. We are seeing too much sabotaging going, and this is clear. This is clear.
Wow.
People, I want to take a listen to what Nikisha Burchell have to say. I can't understand this.
Here to the people of South St. James. I'm speaking to you today because many of you in the Cambridge and surrounding communities have been asking me about the Night Football League, the one that began in Cambridge Square a couple of weeks ago and has suddenly stopped. I want to start with something fundamental because for me, sports is powerful. It unites, it gives young people discipline, purpose, and a positive outlet. In rural constituencies like ours, where there are very few organized spaces for recreation or social life, sport is one of the strongest tools we have to build community spirit and reduce risk. This is not new to Cambridge. It was this same group of young people who organized this event, who organized through sports after Hurricane Melissa to help restore morale and bring people together and return a sense of normal life when the community was stressed and disaffected. That effort was supported by me and your councillor, Kenroy Gordon, and it was done without incident then as well. So when these young people came again and asked us to join with them to organize a night football league, it was supported because it was positive, community-led, and responsible. They engaged the local police beforehand, shared their plans, and received buy-in. The local police were present on the ground. The first stage it was incident-free. I went to the meetings before this, and they were well organized and attended by the police. To avoid disruption, they went as far as marking and managing and marling an alternate route, allowing traffic to bypass the square safely. This was about order, not disorder. This is why it has been so troubling to learn that after the successful start, the league was stopped by police high command somewhere else, not by the local officers who were involved from the beginning. I respect the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and I want to acknowledge the sergeant and his team in the Cambridge Division for the work they have done. Cambridge has recorded very low levels of serious and violent crime, and their efforts have contributed to the overall reduction in crime across St. James. That work matters, and it should be recognized. At the same time, shutting down a lawful, peaceful community activity because of concerns about certain individuals or who might attend is mass punishment. If the police have concerns about specific people, they have the skills, the training, and the authority to deal with specific conduct. Punishing an entire community is not justice, and it does not build trust or partnership. This concern is made sharper when we look at the wider context. Night football leagues are permitted throughout last year and even this year in other St. James communities with higher risk profiles, including Norwood, Salem, Bottom Pen, and Flankers. Flankers, with a league taking place even as recently as last night and will continue for the next couple of weeks. Those communities have known challenges, yet sport has still been allowed as a tool for engagement and diversion, rightly so. But people are fearing asking questions. Why is a peaceful, incident-free Cambridge league treated differently? Why restrict sport here when it has been permitted elsewhere under far more difficult circumstances? I also need to speak to the issue of security because it connects directly here. I'm not saying that I'm entitled to police protection. What I'm saying is this. As a member of parliament for a hurricane-ravaged, geographically vast constituency, one that is larger than the other four combined, remote in many areas, far from police stations, with long, lonely stretches of road and little lighting since hurricane, I must move daily through these same communities that they have questions about to do my job. I am one of 5 MPs in St. James, and I am the only one, to my knowledge, without assigned police security. The one whose close protection officer has been withdrawn despite documented threats that have been reported to the relevant authorities. So the question is reasonable. If a football league is considered too risky because of who might be present, how is it not also a priority to ensure my safety as I carry out my duties across this same space on my constituency and my country? This is about consistency, not privilege. Last night, instead of football, young people came out to Cambridge Square to protest the suspension of the league. That should concern us all, because when positive outlets are removed, frustration takes their place. So I formally requested dialogue and clarity, and I'm seeking a practical way forward, one that protects public safety while allowing positive, lawful community initiatives to continue. To the young people of Cambridge, hear me clearly, I see you. I support positive organization. I support sport as a force for unity. And I will continue to stand with communities that choose progress over conflict. South St. James, we deserve safety, opportunity, dignity, and respect. And I will continue to stand for all 4.
Tell me if this is not sabotage. And here on Nikisha.
You know, I want to say thank you to Life with Jenny. Make sure you guys go and subscribe to Auntie Jenny. I'm glad you brought this up. This is a huge issue, because what I just heard, that don't make no sense. You're telling me that Nikisha Birchall does not have security in an area where the high command is saying, Uno can't keep the football over there because it's that dangerous. Then why she don't have security? Why she's not assigned security? As an MP. That's number 1. Number 2, Flanker, Norwood, Even in this song, them, I never been there. I don't know nothing about them place there. In this song, them, the artist then talk about flanker now and badness. So how them have, then lead. But Queen of the South, this is the second time this government. And this is how I know that Kevin Blake and all of them is labor right. Yeah. They're being used by Andrew Honest. Yeah, man. This is clear. There's no other explanation. There's no logical explanation other than this is political victimization. Because they never voted for the labor rights. Because the labor rights, them never win there. Them still vex over September 3rd. So they're punishing the 14 parishes or the 14 constituencies that the PMP took away. You guys have no shame. No shame. No shame. Utterly disgraceful. Nasty. Despicable. Positive youths. You can't imagine the people who go through what they go through, brother. I'm so happy I came across this. Thank you, Auntie Jenny. Mighty God. Let me look up Nikisha virtual page. I have to make sure someone post that tomorrow. This has to be looked at. This has to be looked at. This has to be. See it here 14 hours ago. See it here.
Well, hello there to the people of South St. James. I'm speaking to you today because...
My God. My God. Wow. Boy, may I tell you, Judge youth. Judge youth. Wow. People have to go through all of this, bro. Look at this. Fully charged. Fully charged. Yo, I say the title alone, I say if Auntie Jenny, I say, what? Nikisha Burchell, what? No, man. No, man, Andrew, on disgusting, brother. On really this, on insufferable.
the following is brought...
On insufferable, brother. Right? See what man think will be a century when I'm 2 years ago, shocking murder of autistic 9-year-old.
And Silvera and what happened, right, is not a serious cause for concern. A life has been lost, right? And so, of course, we put that in mind and we bear that in mind. But where justice is concerned, you have no NNN, have no moral authority. The Jamaica Labour Party has no moral authority to speak on any issue as it relates to, particularly where Jarlan Silvera is concerned. No moral authority. And I'm going to bring up the first case to show the world that, of course, Jarlan Silvera, and I'm going to make a comparison. Jarlan Silvera has been rushed, put before the court, tried, and prosecuted.
Hold on, wait. Hold on, Hold on, the general. This off the record. No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. Off the record this. Ain't no way.
Put in the court and been blocked not to do that because it's a cruel act, inhumane act.
And the term used, judicial, some time ago, and I can't recall now, the director of public prosecutions.
Right, former member of the People's National Party.
Hold on, the people. I have to make sure I say this is done properly. You know. Yeah, man, I have to make sure I say this is important.
You know, I just absolutely don't know the political act in terms of where they are going with it, right? Because as I said, Joyland, right, former member of the People's National Party, and so then, I mean, that has no effect on the Jamaica, on the People's National Party. We have not reduced by any of our members of parliament, right?
We are jumping in the building.
Move from 14 to 20.
Yo, shout out to Jump in the building. Yo, Jump, me love you know. I appreciate what you guys do. Thank you. Jump Jamaica. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys. All right? You guys teach us a lot. Big up on yourself. And please continue to have, don't be sellouts. Don't make them buy on out. Please, I'm begging you guys to continue the work that you're doing. There's well-thinking Jamaicans out there that truly appreciate what you guys are doing. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. Lord of mercy. What happened here, sir?
Yes, technical difficulties.
Oh, technical difficulties.
You know, will happen at times, so we have to move on. Now, let us fire out people, because as I said, we are going to expose the belly of the beast tonight.
Please.
Expose them tonight.
Thank you.
Now, let us hear, as it relates to, we can visit over Big Mama and hear the propagandist, right? And the political optics that been going on there, right? So let us get to, all right, Brother Ratty. Brother Ratty want to complete this thing. Yes, Brother Ratty.
Yeah, good evening, good night, everyone. Good to be here. Apologies for being late, system down. Kevin is still on the line trying to work some things out on one of the screens. Looking forward to the conversation.
Listen, listen, my brother. All right, let us begin, right, as it relates to show the people when we talk about blind justice. And we have the evidence. So we are not just talking about blind justice. I want you to listen to this, my Jamaican people, because we are going to embarrass them.
We're watching very closely. We expect out of the gun court in the Supreme Court today a decision as to whether the Director of Public Prosecutions, Claudette Thompson, will accept the plea entered by the former Member of Parliament for Western St. Mary, Julian Silvera, indicating he intends to plead guilty to manslaughter in the shooting death of his wife, Melissa. So we're watching that carefully to see whether that happens, what the position of the prosecution is, what the position of the judge is. And, you know, this is such an important case, a case that a lot of people are paying attention to. And they're paying attention to it because almost all the elements, of true crime, of power and beauty and deception, all of those elements that you're watching a movie and it makes for compelling viewing. All of those elements are coming together in this matter. And a lot of people, if you just glance through the comments on social media, they're already making up their minds as to what power can achieve in this country. And I imagine those are things that the DPP will consider as to what it would indicate. I recall a term I saw some time ago, and I can't recall now who said it, but the term was judicial misogyny. That was the term used to describe a case, I think it was out of Manchester, where a gentleman flew into a jealous rage and shot, I think it was his girlfriend, in the forehead. And I think it was recorded, if I recall correctly. And he pled guilty to manslaughter. And the term used to describe the acceptance of that plea, because obviously a woman was brazenly, shockingly killed, was judicial misogyny. And my understanding of that term, as it was used then, was that the justice system allowed this man, who did not adequate restraint and control, to plead guilty to manslaughter and therefore secure for himself a lesser sentence. That's not to say that's what's happening in the Julian Silvera matter. I have no information on that, but it brought back my mind, brought me back to that case, that plea, and the description.
You guys see what he
judicial
did there?
misogyny. And the question is, where a woman loses her life And the circumstances are unclear. I put it no stronger than that, unclear, as to how we could get from a peaceful death in her sleep to a charge of murder. That certainly raises questions, and it makes you wonder. And as I said, hearing of the intent to plead guilty to manslaughter, my mind was brought back to that case and the term used, judicial misogyny. We'll see the outcome. We're watching the gun court. As you know, the media not allowed in as per the provisions of the Gun Court Act. It's in camera. So we're waiting to hear whether the DPP accepts the plea and on what grounds she accepts it. And I'm sure whatever way it goes, whatever the decision is, there'll be much public comment about it.
Okay. All right. So then, based on your narrative, right, as it relates to your judicial misogyny, and so then you're upset to the fact that, of course, the reduction from murder
to manslaughter,
and you're building up the momentum, right, for the DPP not to do that because it's a current act.
Yes.
Inhumane act being executed as it relates to Jylan Silvera.
That's exactly what he just did.
Now let me be particularly careful. My condolences.
Yes.
Right? To the family of the wife. Right? And we are all in sympathy, right, with the situation. Let me put that out there clear. Now let me deal with you, Big Mama. And let me deal in terms of delivering to the world.
Oh, that Mama son.
What happened here
Mama?
as it relates to
Pick up yourself.
Jylan Silvera wanting to make a plea of manslaughter. That's one issue. And so then some sense of justice prevailed. Jamaica, this is what I'm asked. What happened when worse
This is mystic
than
sensation.
what Jylan Silvera had committed has not been pursued to put in the court and been blocked by the Jamaica Labour Party?
What?
Because of persons who are affiliated with Jamaica Labour Party.
No.
We are going to present cases, as a matter of fact, that worse than the Jylan Silvera.
No.
I am not.
You're joking.
Saying that, okay, the situation as it relates to Jylan Silvera and what happened, right, is not a serious cause to concern.
Yes.
A life has been lost.
Of course.
Right? And so, of course, we put that in mind and we bear that in mind. Where justice is concerned. You have no NNN, have no moral authority. The Jamaica Labour Party has no moral authority to speak on any issue as it relates to, particularly where Jylan Silvera is concerned. No moral authority. And I'm going to bring up the first case to show the world that, of course, Jylan Silvera, and I'm going to make a comparison. Jylan Silvera has been rushed, put before the court, tried, and prosecuted. Let me say this. What happened to those cases, persons who are affiliated with the Jamaica Labour Party, where investigation has not been done thoroughly to put those cases in the judiciary, and those cases has worse indictment than Jylan Silvera.
Wow.
My Jamaican people, follow me. We are going to bust their bubbles tonight.
Let's go.
Now, honey, let us bring up the first case, right? Because they think that we forgot. We don't forget, right? And we are going to remind them tonight.
And as it relates to the case, I mean,
we are going to remind them tonight, right?
He got to
that
go to jail. And
at least some sense of justice done in the Jylan, right? So JLP,
he's no longer
Jamaica Labour Party,
member.
right? Big Mama, speak on this, Big Mama. No new info in Gabriel King case. Say stop. This was a child. JLP Party, this was a kid This was a child, an innocent child.
I don't know this case.
That those who are affiliated with the Jamaica Labour Party, particularly where the mother is concerned, executed this child.
What?
As a result of the fact that the child bear a situation of being handicapped.
Oh my God. No.
Physically challenged.
No.
As a result of the child being physically challenged.
Are you serious?
Who is you, NNN? You don't remember this?
No,
NNN?
man.
You don't remember this, big mama?
No.
You have no moral ground to speak on any subject matter.
No, we need the next computer.
The situation with Joy.
Hold on. Gabriel.
None of you over there.
How many next computer?
So let us get into the details to remind you.
No,
Montego Bay St. James, more than 2 years after the shocking murder of autistic 9-year-old Gabriel King, the investigation drags on as cops comb through his mother's phone. This is an embarrassment to Andrew Holness administration, embarrassment to the Commissioner of Police.
Who is the mother though?
And this current Commissioner of Police.
Who is the mother?
According to head of the Era 1 Police Division, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Clifford Chambers, the police are still scrutinizing the iPhone of my Leon Issa. So when you talk on your platform, as it relates to Joel and Silveria,
you mean like
to
the
say
Issa?
a
The
true
Issas?
crime of power and beauty, make a compelled viewing on what power can achieve. Well, listen to this. This is what power can achieve. Let me read back that over to you, Big Mama, the first paragraph. According to head of the Year 1 Police Division, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Clifford Chambers,
yes.
Police are still scrutinizing the iPhone of my Leon Issa. Issa. This is what power can achieve. When you're big, mighty, and powerful.
Wow.
So you don't come with that garbage spin.
Wow.
Because you want to politicize the issue.
Jesus.
Right? The iPhone Amalian is at the time of Gabriel's death. Right? Affiliates of the Jamaica Labour Party. The crime been looking left. And the antics you play to bring them to justice. To bring them to justice. Analysis is still being done on the phone. Chambers told the Jamaica Observer last week when contacted for an update on the King case.
What?
Justice delayed. Fire is justice denied. In November 2023, the Supreme Court ordered Leon Issa to hand over her phone's pass key to investigators probing the case. Let me tell you something. NNN, this is what power does when you have money and you can resist the same power that you are talking about. The ruling followed months of legal wrangling attorneys at the police over access to the device.
So then they get access.
Leon Issa had contended that her right to privacy was being breached. So if you're never involved in the death of your son, let me ask you, why you hold the device and not wanting the investigators to investigate? What are you hiding? Right? What are you hiding? So let us compare that with Jaya. Sylvia. Right?
Wow.
You have heard about an incident, crime committed, and you vigorously pursued, have him arrested, no bail, and have him prosecuted. What happened to this case? This is a child.
I don't think.
This is a child.
I don't think he
This
has
is a
any
9
power.
years
I see
old
what he's
child.
saying. I see what he's
January
saying.
13, 2022,
You
it
know
was
how
reported that young Gabriel had been kidnapped along the Tucker Main Road in Montego Bay, St. James. The child was later found dead in his mother's vehicle, which was abandoned off the Fairfield Main Road in the parish. This is vicious, cruel, more heinous than what transpired.
Bro,
As it
you
relates to the
gotta
child
be
and
kidding me, bro.
You have no moral authority.
No.
You are 100% evil.
Wow.
Take this away. Let me show you another case that the Jamaica Labour Party need to prosecute you.
Wow.
And so then let us compare again. Yes, You rush to justice. As it relates to the Jordan Sylvia.
Listen, I wasn't following news.
You did
I'm
what you
sorry.
did.
I never watched news.
You
I
have
never
prosecuted
read.
him.
Listen,
Let us ask you about the next
I was
case
a
that I'm bringing
different
up.
person. Yeah.
Take it
From
away.
West
Let me
Indies.
ask you this case that I'm bringing up.
Oh yeah, I knew he was gonna bring this up.
Tell me.
The body of Junior Jermaine was found inside the living room of prominent attorney Patrick Bailey. The house is located in Barbican, St. Andrew, and Mr. Jermaine's body reportedly had several stab wounds and a gunshot wound to the head. Opposition spokesman on national security Fitz Jackson outlines concerns about the investigation of that murder so far.
I have been bombarded with concerns expressed about major crime like murder. That gentleman who was murdered in Barbican over a year ago, murdered on Barbican Road. We all know it was in the house of a prominent Jamaican, very much connected with the political leadership of this country. Someone murdered. And from all the police reports up to now, nothing has been concluded.
The Gleaner reported in February last year that the police identified suspects in the murder of Mr. Jermaine.
Mr. Speaker, I had the opportunity to meet with the brother of the gentleman who was murdered. He went to the media. I read the reports. And I saw an audience with him. And the gentleman expressed his distress, his giving up on Jamaica. Because in his own words, some people are going to get justice in this country. This is a real situation. We get up and we tell the country about how serious we are about crime and violence and murder. But in a case where somebody was murdered in a house, where from the police report there was no forced entry, and over 1 year, no one is arrested, no one is charged, and rumors abound.
Mr. Jackson adds that the culture of silence is doing more harm than good.
We believe that if we keep quiet, don't say nobody knows, and it just go away. People know these things, and they see it happen. And that's why they lose trust in us, all of us. And they lose faith in.
So NNN, you are a piece of E. coli. You are 100% raw sewage. As I said, you have no moral authority to speak. No moral authority to speak. But you're a propagandist. You're a spin machine while the country suffers. And while you, Big Mama, help to pilfer from taxpayers $1.5 billion in government revenue. And so then you wish, sign your soul to the devil, turn your back on the prosperity of Jamaica, sinking your soul in hell. So on those two cases, tell me how you have any moral authority to speak on the Jordan issue. Shut up your mouth. Shut up your mouth.
Wow.
You are corrupted. Now let me speak to the DPP. Let me speak to the DP. And let me speak to the commissioner. Are you going to pursue vigorously these two cases that I had just presented to bring forth justice, to show Jamaica and the world that you are transparent, fair, and balanced? We have melting pot. Trump you down.
Wow. Guys, that was a mouthful. And then some. I was aware of the Patrick Bailey case, but I was not aware of the other case. Yeah, that's the Issas, huh? Wow. If you are in Jamaica and you have never heard of the Issas, I don't know what to tell you. There's a rumor about, 12 families? And if you're of a certain name, you know, they may move around and operate as if they run the entire place and they're above the law. That is what is being said in the streets. That is the perception of them. That is out. When I can't wait. No, I can wait. Excuse me. I am salivating on the day when Jamaica will be led by a righteous leader. I am salivating and waiting on the day when these types of cases, it doesn't matter what your name is. How in God's green earth is Patrick Bailey was not arrested? I didn't even know that. He wasn't even arrested. He wasn't even charged. In which country in the world that is a developed country that is not corrupt, where a body is in your house, there was no forced entry, and that individual was, I don't know if he was stabbed, he was shot, but he's no longer alive and he is in your house while you in the house and you not get locked up. Tell me, listen, let me put it on next way. Which youth in the ghetto could I tell the police them, or Patrick Bailey tell the police them, and not get locked up? And not get charged. And not go to prison. You're telling me that Patrick Bailey case never even went to court? I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. This is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. If the man, listen, if somebody had sent to me, had said to me that that's what happened, if he didn't present the parliament clip and the documentation, I wouldn't have believed it. So, Leona Issa. So the car was abandoned. Your car was abandoned with your picnic in it. And you never wanted the judge get access to your phone. You argue privacy. Let me tell you something. You see in our first world country, they would have carried that to the highest level where them have to give the phone. And they better make sure so they have a phone too, you know. You hear what I said? As a matter of fact, the phone would have been confiscated for evidence. What kind of privacy? You know, a murder case? Suspicion? There would be a court order that couldn't be overturned. You hear what I said? If that was on, you know what? I'm going to bed. I can't believe this. I'm fully stressed out. I can't believe this. This is unbelievable, brother. This I want to take the cake. I ain't, me say, I thought Jamaica is not a real place, but this is worse than I ever thought, yo. This is worse than I ever thought. Jamaica is unbelievably not a real place. Mighty God. What can go so? No, man. No. This is insane. I wonder if I can send this thing through Bluetooth. Look at that, man, for what doing. Yeah, it's crazy. Antonio, big up yourself. Alright. I want to thank you guys for coming through. I'm going to let you go because I have work to do. These clips, I gotta go and do my do. You know what I'm saying? Do my do. Yes. Gotta go and do my do. Thank you guys so much for being here. See you on the next one. See you guys tomorrow. All right. Thank you, TikTok. There's a lot of you here on the late night show, man. If you guys want to, I'd encourage all of you to go to my bio and subscribe to my YouTube page before you leave. All right. Just click on TikTok. Just click my face right there. Go to my YouTube page and subscribe. The link is in the bio. All right. Because I'm not always on TikTok. But you'll find me on that page. That's the main page. Samara, what's up? Good night. Hope you're doing well. Blessings. All right, later. Thanks again. Bolo V&R 2.0. Big up on yourself. Laura, everybody. Karen, everybody later.